Gideon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. There seem to be some breaks.
There are some breaks at my end.
Yes, but it's better now.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So good evening once again for those of us on the Zoom call, those of us also streaming on YouTube. We bring you greetings from Kumasi Hyperspace. Today we have with us our guest speaker, Mr. Daniel Nunn, all the way from Bogatanga. That's the power of technology, bringing us no matter where we are. Somebody is already flowing with fans. Say Professor Danson. All right. So, before we dive into the discussion of the topic for today, I will invite Daniel to tell us a bit about himself and what he's doing up there in the north.
Okay, thank you very much. For the purposes of the network, will you mind if I can switch off my video a bit so that we can have clarity?
Well, yeah, of course, you can do that. And anytime you feel comfortable, you can come back.
Thank you very much. So, as Gideon has said, I'm Daniel Nang, the CEO of Dancing ISO. I'm Bogatanga in the Upper East region, and we are into the digital innovation kind of business supporting startups. We do business trainings, incubation, and acceleration programs, supporting young people who want to either get some skill to look for a job, or they want to build some skills to start their own businesses. Some yet are not even sure of what they want to do based on their passion and their abilities. So the kind of business idea they want to undertake, to be able to build a business, they are not sure. People like that come around, and then we go through some trainings with them to be able to get some ideas to start their own businesses. So basically, that is what we do in Bogota. Apart from the Innovation Hub, we also do some, because of sustainability reasons, we have other SBUs that we are trying to use to support, like we do microcredit business. We give loans to business owners who want to supplement some capital, so that we can also, the interest can help us to build that business and to support the hub aspect of the business. So basically, that's what we do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction of yourself. We are glad that you are also bringing the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the North together at the North. Today, we are talking about business valuation. You know, that's very important for every startup, because when we are starting the journey, most of the times we are alone on that path. But at some point, we need to bring other people on board in terms of investment or partnership or co-founding. So there always comes that need to do that valuation for our business. So when we talk about business valuation, what is it and what should startups consider?
Okay, thank you very much. So business value, before I get to talk about the topic directly, let me give this a story of a young man who came to my office, I think 2 months ago, one of our startups, who is trying to build a particular startup, and he's doing very well. And he came and told me that they are two, and so they want to scale, and they need a particular amount of money in the form of equity to be able to move to the levels that they want to move. They want to go international. The product is a hot cake, but they don't have enough, working capital to get to that level. So I then asked them, how much do you want? He told me they needed 200,000. And I asked him, then how much are you willing to give in the form of percentage of ownership to the person that brings the 200,000? They were not sure. Then I asked them, how much is the value of your business? And they were not also sure. They started thinking, they didn't think about that. They just needed somebody to bring money and to just to put into their business. But they didn't think about how much they were willing, let's say how much percentage of the ownership they are willing to let go to dilute that ownership that they have. Because if you are two people owning a business and another person is coming, dilution will come, ownership dilution will come, because decision making will not be as easy as when you are two or one. So these are critical moments for a person or a group of people who own a business to think about valuation. And on that note, what valuation means basically is the process of determining the economic value of a business. It's basically determining the economic value of a business, because the business that you want to value has a particular economic value that is relevant for so many decisions to happen. And so there are professionals in the field that do that. Everybody, you can't just look at the business and say this is how much it is worth. There is a process and so many factors that go into it in coming up with a value. So basically, that's what business valuation means. If you want me to go further to maybe reasons why that happens, I can go into it. But basically, this is what business valuation is. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. So we'll come to the reasons for sure. But you spoke about the processes. So what is the process? What goes into it when, say, I bring in a professional, or I think that I just want to do a semblance of evaluation by the professional, by myself? What is the process? What goes into that valuation?
You want to just go by yourself? You mean by yourself? Are you talking about the person that is owning the business?
So both ways. So now I'm asking, if say a professional comes to do the evaluation for us, what are the things that the person will require from, say, if that is my business, what would that professional require from me to be able to do that valuation? And okay, if you talk about the process, what's the process?
Yeah, so for example, if somebody comes up with a business that is looking for a professional to value, there are some things the professional will ask. For example, the size of the business. What is the size of your business? That will even determine the method to use. What is the size of the business? For example, if your business is a small one, a small SME, the best method for you to use would be like a market value method instead of using assets, because your assets are very small. If you want to use assets, it won't be appropriate. But a big business that is distinct, the owners are distinct from the assets, and it will be appropriate to use assets. But if you are a sole trader and you want to value a business by using assets, it means your personal assets may even get involved when they are valued. They will value you and yourself and maybe your personal properties. And so the professional will ask you the size of your business to be able to help you. That's number one. The second thing the person may want to know will be the nature of your business, the nature of the business. For example, asset-based method is not appropriate to be used, like I said, for a sole proprietor business. So if the nature of the business is such that it's in an area where people easily sell their businesses. So let's say in the incubation hub businesses, some people have been selling their businesses, and I now want to sell. They're looking at the nature of that business. It will be easier to compare, to say that, okay, Hyperspace sold their business recently. How much did they get? So it will help us to also know, okay, this is what we are going to use to assess, or the method to use to assess that business. The professional will also want to be interested in the revenue generation potential of the business. So they want to look at how much revenue have you been generating, the records. Check your books. Let's see what you have been recorded. Are you doing well? Are you not doing well? It will help them to be able to determine whether they should use the book, the market value method. But if you are doing well, if you've been having good records and your books are good, it will be appropriate to use the market value method, which we haven't talked about the methods yet, but I'm just trying to say, so these are the things that the valuer will be interested in, and even to come up with a particular method to use. So the list is not exhaustive, but these are some of the things that the professional will be looking at.
Thank you so much. Probably towards the end of our discussions, I may want you to explain a bit further. You spoke about asset valuation and then the market valuation. So if we are talking about market value valuation, what would that be? But now let's focus on what are the reasons why one may want to do that valuation.
Okay, thank you very much. Just like the example I gave before I started the what's the name, the conversation about valuation. I made mention of young people that came looking for somebody to give them some money to scale. That means that if you are looking for equity, additional funding into your business, because somebody else is coming to add, and because it will be necessary to know the percentage of ownership to give to another person, it will be very important to know that business, how much that business is worth, so that you to be able to give the proper valuation. Some years back, I wanted to, I got some business idea, I started building something, and I went to meet some angel investors to pitch the idea. And so when I finished pitching, they said, fantastic. So you want how much? I said at the time, 300,000. They said, so if we give you the 300,000, how much percentage will you give us? And ignorantly, at that time, I said 20%, without knowing what goes into the 20%. A blundering youth at the time, I did not calculate well. And you know what? I lost it because they just realized this young man didn't understand what he was talking about. 20% for the 300,000. But how much is worth your business? I didn't know. So I lost it. It was later I learned, but the hard way. So it will be relevant for a reason. When you want additional hand to come in to add you money, you will need to do valuation. Number two, if you need to merge with another business, either strategic alliance or merger or acquisition, another business even wants to swallow you or to buy you, they will need to know how much you are worth. If you are merging, like the way I think Tigo and is it Zain at the time, or what's the name? Tigo and a particular telecommunication company joined, they merged.
Airtel.
So, Airtel, yes. So they needed to know how much each was worth, to know who let's say, have upper hand in taking over the other is always very important when you are coming together. Then another very important aspect that a lot of people are not so much aware of is divorce. If I own a business, whether my wife has hand in it or not, she is a very critical stockholder in that business, whether her name is there or not. So if we are divorcing today, and the court will look at how to split that business into the two. And another example, I have some friends in Accra. A man got divorced in US and came to Ghana and started a new business. And when he started a business, this business, all of you will know it, but I will mention it here. Very good business. It's very popular. Now, this man wanted, the wife came and joined. The wife divorced somewhere. He also divorced another woman. They married in Ghana. The woman is a foreigner. Then they married. The business was going on well until the wife started complaining that people have been calling the husband CEO of the business all the time without mentioning her name. She wanted her name to also be mentioned. And confusion started happening. And before you knew, the woman said she was no longer interested in the business. So she wanted divorce. this case went to court, and they demanded that they should sell the business and split the proceeds of the business. That was a critical issue. They went to court. In this instance, they needed to what? Value the business. So I even looked for the valuer for them, and they valued the business. But later, the issue was resolved. They didn't sell the business. So divorce proceedings will call for valuation of a business. Very important. So as young people, as we are going to business, we should be wary of this fact that your wife can drag you, and that would require that your business can be valued and the like. Also, there can be dispute between very close to what I just explained. Stockholders can have disputes, and they may need to take some decisions about how to vary the stock or their shares. If it's publicly, if it's not a public company and it's like small business, the percentages of ownership, they may want to know that. If they have those issues, the best way to be able to arrive at their the ownership percentages will be to value it. So if there's a dispute between or among the owners, so that would be the best way to resolve it. And future decisions for the business planning is also very important. You want to take a decision today about a business. Maybe there are some people who don't want to own business for the rest of their life. They want to grow a business to a stage where it will have a very huge value and they can sell it. And instead of the troubles of managing business every day, and they would like to just invest the money in a particular area where they will be receiving what we call a passive income instead of active, where they need to work every day, take decisions. And you know, a lot of business owners get heart attack every day. I mean, a lot of people don't like that. Troubles of business, and they just want to sell the business, put their money somewhere that they can relax and be getting passive income for the rest of their life. So for that reason, future decisions of the business, if they realize the potential of the business is good, they can sell it today. But if they realize the future potential is good, but the market value of that business is not good today, they can decide that we will sell it now. Let's continue to build a business. But if the market value is good today, but the future value is not a potential, is not good, then they will sell it. So these decisions are very critical also. Even tax obligations, for the reasons of tax, they may need to know how much is the business worth for tax people to determine what to take from you. External funding, which is a general term. External funding, you can be going for external funding, whether you want equity or any other funding. For you to merge, you may want funding. That is why you are merging. For somebody to come and add their money into the business is because of funding. These are general terms. So generally, external funding will call for it. And even liquidation. It's in our environment that we don't see businesses going into liquidation. Elsewhere, some critical challenges in business will require that you quickly go into liquidation so that you can get out of trouble. So once you do that, like let's say the business is going a lot and there's tax following you, or debtors are following you, can go for liquidation. Then everybody.
What is liquidation? What is liquidation?
That means you get out of business. The business will ground. They'll get grounded, bankrupt. That means you don't have anything. The business will get out of business. And then I mean, everything, the assets of the business, maybe the liabilities are more than the assets. And so the business will get out of service. And that is it. So basically, these are some of the reasons why a business may need to be valued. Thank you.
That's great. I think a lot has been said, from different dimensions. And thank you very much for giving practical examples. So then you advise that at any level, it's better that startups are aware of the value of their businesses.
Yes.
Would you agree to that?
Yes, very, very important. Gideon, can you hear me?
Yeah. So if you are on the call and you can hear you, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. So if you're on the call and you own a business or you intend to own a business, please be mindful of the fact that you always have to know the value of your business. Daniel, this is just a question that has just popped up in my mind. You know, most of the businesses, the startups, when they start, maybe first year, second year, they may not be able to pay themselves, right? But they are also putting in their time and energy. The amount that if they had the money, they would have paid themselves, would that also add up to the value of the business?
Of course, it will add up to the business. And that is why even if they haven't been paying themselves, if you are running a business and you are making sacrifices and you are not paying yourself, when you are putting records, talking about the revenue of the business, and that will go with the expenses and all that, and you definitely have to be recording these things, even though you are not taking it. That's why it's very important for you to be recording them, whether you are taking it or not, and to add in the books. And so if you are not taking, also indicate that you are applying it back. You're applying it back. And very critical. So when it's clear in the books, and make sure every year you get a professional accounting firm or auditing firm to prepare your books, so you know year on year, this is what the business, it will even inform you whether the business is growing and at what pace.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So, guys, we need to be keeping our records. It might be that we think our business is very small. Maybe probably we have just started and is just a prototype we have, or we have just entered into. If we do that, and at any point we want to bring in people, or our debtors are chasing us and there's a need for that valuation, we'll get into trouble, because then you need to conjure some figures, which is not the best way to do things. So keep your records, and if you're not recording that you are paying yourself, even though you are not taking it, but just plowing back, please begin to do that, as that is very important for any future valuations you may want to do. Now, Dan, can you share with us? I think you've mentioned two of them in passing, where you talked about asset-based valuation and then the market value valuation. What are the different methods of valuation that could be used?
Okay, so like I mentioned, asset-based method is one, where, as the name suggests, it's a form of business valuation that relies on the assessment of the value of the business's assets. That's the assets of the business. In other terms, it calculates how much investment the business currently holds. How much investment the business currently holds. It can be performed in two ways. Yeah, and the first part is what we call the going concern asset-based method. The going concern asset-based method. And that is what evaluators will work out the net value of the business assets on the balance sheet and subtract that from all the liabilities.
So then, before you even proceed with that, when you talk about assets, what are they? Business assets.
That is assets basically are the things that are like properties of the business, things that so the things that the business can say that these are the things we own, and we can sell them at any point to generate some money. Yeah, some are fixed, others are current. Yeah, so all of them are things that are like properties to the business. And so liabilities are things that take away from the business. Let's say if you are owing, taking loan, it's a liability. Things that are going to take away from your business. And so you try to look at how the first way is, as I mentioned, going concern asset-based method, where they will look at how to look at your balance sheet and subtract your liabilities from your assets. And that is the first part. The second part is where they'll look at what we call liquidation asset-based approach. And that one takes an entirely different approach. The other method determines the amount of net cash a business would receive if all its assets were sold out or off today and liabilities are cleared. So the asset-based method are more suited to businesses that make a clear distinction between the assets of the company and its owners, so that if they want to sell it, it doesn't, get into the owner's own properties that have nothing to do with the business. So like if I own my house and I'm in business in partnership with Gideon, and then we are using the assets base, it doesn't attract my house because the house is not part of Gideon, the business we own. So that is the assets base in twofold, like I've explained. That's one method they will use. So that one basically will be looking at what does the business own and what can take away from the business. When you strike the difference, what is left is the value of the business. So that if you go to the bank of the business and you sell everything and it is 1 million Ghana cedis, you don't say the business is worth 1 million Ghana cedis. You have to look at, is the business owing anybody? Is the business having tax obligation? Are there other commitments the business needs? Are they owing some of their staff that they haven't paid? Other things, is there something the business is benefiting from, which they need to offset from their operations? Things like that, to be able to know whether this is the true value of the business. So that is what the asset distinction between what the business owns and what takes away from the business. That's the asset-based method.
So from this explanation, is it possible that a business that seems to be doing well might have no value?
Yes, a business can be overtraded. And by overtrading, what I mean is that we have businesses who, I have a good example of a particular business that took money from us, and it became about the 300,000 today. With its interest, it came up to 300,000 some years back, I think 2013. And I lost that money because the man was overtrading. He was considered a rich man in town. He had a lot of properties. But I didn't know that the man had borrowed from banks and was overtrading. All the things you see in the business did not belong to him. And I didn't know. So if you don't know, the books are not good, but I didn't have access to the books. I was just looking at him superficially. And so it is possible that you see a particular business doing well, but the business is actually not doing well. So that is what, so the asset base, when they now look at the asset base and we go into the books, we check everything, give the difference between the assets and the liabilities. It will tell us the true value of the business. And that is why people call for collateral. And at the time, I didn't call for collateral because his goodwill was enough. And he had taken money and paid, and without scratching his head in the past. And this is a warning to everybody that when you see business, don't look at it that way. They are a lot. And that's why banks will look into it, look at even the cash flow, look at everything, and possibly take what we call a collateral to be sure in case there's a problem, they can hold on to that. The bank that he was owing, they were able to get their money because they had collateral. I didn't know. I used his goodwill at the time, and I lost the money. So asset-based.
You were tricked.
Yes.
You were tricked by what you saw. Yeah. Prince has the hand up. Prince, you have any question?
Hello, Gideon and Danson. This is Prince from Think Hub.
All right. Welcome, Prince.
So, yeah, thank you. So, Danson, you made mention of something which you didn't elaborate on. I want you to elaborate, not just for me, but those of us who are listening, that when it comes to paying salaries to ourselves and our employee, when the taxations involved and the regulations about that. And also, you were talking about evaluation of the firm. What method is used if someone has a firm and is making profit but don't have a physical location like an asset or anything, but the firm is run virtually, they have a remote platform that they use to commence their businesses? Thank you.
If a business is not having access, you don't have location, that means that you can't even use the assets based. It will not favor you. So that in that case, you use what we call the earning value or income approach. So we will look at how much are you earning. You can be in your bedroom and do the business. You can be in your car and do the business, but like you have books. If you don't have office or location, doesn't mean you don't have books. And you have bank statements. We want to see your records, how much money comes into the account and how much goes out. It's not about just coming in. We have to also look at how much is going out and coming back. And that is the cash flow. So we will use what we call the earning value or income approach, which I'm here to talk about, Prince. So maybe your question would have been better. It would have been better to ask at the end. I don't know if this helps.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. But I want you to touch on the taxation part. Some companies refuse to pay tax. No, I'm not asking this for myself, but probably there might be someone here. There might be someone here who has a company who evade tax or actually don't pay tax for their employees. So can you mention some of the tax that if you have a company you're supposed to pay and how it's done?
Oh, as for taxation, I'm not an expert in taxation, but basically, if, for example, you are operating a business, a lot of young people, startups come and I tell them they don't want to register. They are afraid that tax people will look after them, they'll chase them. That sometimes tax will even help you. For example, if different kinds of tax like payee, you pay based on what how much you are paying your staff. And so when you pay your staff and everything happens, and the nature of the business will also come in. For example, if you are running an MPO or NGO, you don't need to pay income tax. You won't pay income tax. You only pay the payee. What you pay when you pay your staff, we call it payee, pay as you earn. So if you pay and at the end of the day, whatever money is left as an MPO or an NGO, it's called surplus. So it is like, assume that you are getting your money donations from either charitable work, people to do work to support and make impact in the community, but not for commercial reasons. And for that reason, they are not charging you income tax. They charge you payee and maybe value. What's the name? We call it what? The one that when you are rendering services, we've been paying that. Gideon, what's the name of that one? As I said, I'm not
value added tax.
VAT.
No, the one that when you are no, not that one. That one when you do consultancy and other things, they can do that. But what I'm interested in is the one that they charge, I think 7.5%.
Withholding tax.
Withholding. Yes, withholding. So things like that. So you know all those ones. But if you are running a small business, don't be afraid of tax. When you register with, they only pay based on profit you have made, if you are a profit-oriented company. So, and there are so many ways of letting the accounts people help you to be able to not to overpay. But you give what is due the government, give it to them, give it to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So it also makes you a very credible person in the society. And so it's important. If you don't make profit, you will not pay tax. So you pay, like we are saying, if you are paying yourself, if you are not taking the money, record it and record the taxes. It will add as expenses. So at the end of the day, when you are coming out with your financial whatever, you will realize that your profit will reduce. And because it will go into the deductions that went and supposedly sort of given to you as your salary, which you didn't take. Though you didn't take, it would take away. So if you were to pay a tax on your profit of 100,000, your profit will now come down and the taxation percentage will be, the amount you pay will reduce. So taxation is good. It shouldn't run away from it. So basically that is the advice I'll give in terms of tax. As I said, I'm not an expert in taxation, so I may not be able to give the
probably
best.
The only thing I will add is the SNIT for your staff, right? So
yes, very critical.
Now the tier 1 and tier 2 is compulsory that you pay. And if we claim to be people who are impacting on society, it's good that we also build the future of our staff.
Yes. So,
okay. Then I think we can move to the next. Yes, please.
So the next, as I said, the list is not exhaustive. So I'm just putting them together. And some of them will come into each other. If you go into some books, it will tell you Some of them, they will split them. Like the assets base, it is 2 in 1. So the next one you can look at is what we call the earning value or the income method. The earning value or income method. And in that particular approach, the value of a business is determined by calculating its potential to generate income in the future. They are looking at your potential to generate income in the future. So it is done by processing the business's past performance and financial records and using those results to forecast the financial future of the company. How much are you going to be worth? So that is why that particular method is very good for young businesses, because you can't use the assets base. It won't favor you. So what is the potential of hyperspace? If you check, looking at using assets today, hyperspace may not be as big, but looking at the earning potential of hyperspace, for example, may be beneficial to use that method to value the business. So that is another method. Then we can look at what we call the market value method. And that particular method is straightforward. The value of the business is determined by comparing its sales and market performance with that of a similar business in that industry. Let's say if it's a hub, innovation hub, and I want to sell it. And let's say Think Hub has already sold their business. And I look at it and say, oh, if Think Hub sold it for $1 billion, which is good to mention, I'm sure Think Hub will be very happy, $1 billion. And then Dancing also wants to sell. I can say, okay, wow, if Think Hub sold it at that amount, we may not sell exactly that amount, but it will be very easy to now look at, fix our minds on roughly how much our hub can also cost. Now putting some things together. So it will give you a fair idea of how much to sell it. Because if the market value of a similar business is worth that amount, we are in the same industry. It is likely that if we don't cross it a little, putting some figures together, we may fall below it a little. So that is what the market value
comparative value.
Yes, yes. And also, that particular method is very good when we are looking at an industry where a lot of businesses is very competitive, and a lot of businesses are going to what we call buyout. They are going to buy out because the industry is very competitive. It's very difficult. So some people just want to sell it and go into something else. And so when it is like that, you are able to know, because you'll be seeing people selling businesses here and there, and you can look at how much they've been selling, and it will help you to know how much you can also peg your business. So these are 3 key methods that I think are very common. But as I said, the list is not exhaustive. There can be others you look at. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing those. Abdul, you have your hands up. I hope you are doing well.
Yes, I'm doing very great. Yeah. And I can say that this topic has come at a very good time for me. So I have a couple of questions to ask. If I can go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Right.
If it is fine by the moderator.
Hopefully.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
My question is that I have a farm, and in my farm, when I was there directly, when I was involved directly, I was doing well. The farm was doing well until I traveled and then left it with some people, and I realized that it wasn't doing well as I expected. So I identified some people I wanted to partner with, so that in this case they will feel the owners of the farm. In that case, I believe I will the profits or the performance of them will be encouraging. So what the question is that in this case, they are one person that I have identified. He is already into agric. He has studied in Israel, and he has knowledge in agric and a whole vast experience into the farming industry. And so I identified him. He's my mate in school when I was in school. And then there's one friend of mine who is not, but is also very good into farming. So in these people are not coming in with any funds, but I am providing the land, I'm providing the money for everything. So in this case, how much do I give them as a partner in terms of how do I identify their wealth in their business?
Okay, Abdul, how long is your farm? How old?
My farm, I can say, is about 6 years now.
Do you have records of how your harvest every year when you harvest, and like so everything every year, how much you get from the farm and how much you make in terms of selling, where you pay yourself, everything? Do you have that? Do you have books? Were you operating it as a business, or you were just doing it like informal way of running, like the way the local farmers do in the village?
All right. I would say that in the beginning I was doing all those things until I traveled. When I traveled, I don't do all those things as of now because when I realized that they were not managing it well and everything, I didn't give it attention anymore because I was just wasting my money in it. So I decided not. So I wasn't involving myself so much for the past couple of years, maybe 3 years now. So
who was not managing it well? Who?
Those that I left it with. One.
So were they employees? Were they employees?
Okay, yes, they were. They were employees.
And you were paying them?
Yes, I was paying them.
And you were keeping records?
I was, yes. When I left, I was paying them their monthly salary to take care of the farm and everything. But after a while, I realized that after taking off all the expenses and everything, I was not getting anything. I was actually going at loss. So I decided to just leave it like that. I didn't continue with it. I stopped. Let me put it down.
Okay, so what is the nature of the farm? What crop? What kind of crop? These things are very critical. What kind of crop is on it?
Okay, currently we are trying to do vegetables. That is chili pepper, and then.
So it means that the land is such that every year you can change, you harvest and change in a different crop if you want. So it's bare land when you harvest. Then next year you can decide.
Yes.
Wow, that means that to start with, we'll have to look at the size of the farm, and in that where the farm is located, we look at the value of the market value of that farm. If you want to sell the land, just land there, we have to start from there. Because you've not been keeping records. All the struggles you've made, it's not like you have added value to any particular thing. If the farm, talking of fertility, the land is even losing fertility every year. So if I'm coming to join you this year, you say you've been farming on that land for 6 years, and I'm now coming to join you. So we should look at your sweat. No, your sweat, you've also chopped whatever your sweat, and even you have devalued the land. So we will look at the current value of the land. How much is the land if we have to sell the land now? And we'll begin from there. If like we had come there and it's a particular kind of crop that was like cocoa, and you've already cultivated the cocoa, it has grown, we would have said that we struggle with the cocoa for some years. I know the gestation period of cocoa may be, let's say, 3, 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. But if by the time I'm joining, the cocoa has started yielding, then of course, you have invested a lot, and definitely we will start from there to say that we can value the assets. But this is bare land. So if we are going there today and we are to farm base, we are starting from scratch. All the previous harvest you have done, you've farmed and harvested your thing and consumed. So the person will be looking at the value of the land now. So how much do you want us to share let's say, contribute to start at scratch? We want to do maize farming this year. So we may need to buy fertilizer of 10 bags. So let's look at it. So if you were the one who bought the land, how much is the value of the land? If we want to own ownership of 50-50, or you want a particular percentage, we have to value the land now. That is the advice I can give you, because it's bare land. There's nothing on that land. You don't have only other records of things to say you have invested in the land, and maybe it has given value to that land that requires that another person coming in can benefit from your sweat. There's nothing like that. You've rather even devalued by way of the nutrient level of the land. So you start from the value of the land now. That is what I would advise. Otherwise, nobody will be interested.
Yeah, the thing is, this guys that I'm bringing in, they are bringing in their expertise. Yes, and I will be funding the whole in terms of the capital we will need to start all over again and do so. I'm just looking at how much I'm going to, how I will value their involvement in the.
Okay, I get you. So you are not picking them as employees with those expertise. They are not going to be employees. They are going to be part owners. Let's say you go to Hyperspace, Gideon may be a digital expert, and maybe what's the name? Your co-founder, Albert, may be an accounting professional. And so he handles the accounting side. Gideon handles the digital. And you now look at how much the value from that angle.
Yes.
Then that means that not only value is the money you'll be giving them there to put in business, and then ownership of the land. You have to value their expertise. And it will be very difficult because if they are not employees, I just wonder how you are going to value their expertise. I don't know. Gideon, any help? Because I wonder how you are going to, and they are not going to be employees.
So there are some traditional ways of evaluation, right? Where, you know, what Daniel spoke about are all the very professional ways of evaluating businesses. But hey, you know what? If today, Abdul, I'm one of those people coming to partner with you to work on that land, and the 2-3 of us decide that, okay, because Abdul has done this for years and has some experiences that we do not have.
And use the time left. Just water only the trees, not the grass.
Yes. So because you own the land, you are providing the funds, and then you come in with some experience also. Let's peg your value, say at 60, and then 2 of us who are also coming in with our skills. Maybe one is going to be more involved in the business than the other, and so we'll give the person 25 and the last person 15. If the 3 of us agree on those figures and put it on record as the value at the time where we were partnering, and we sign our contracts or MOUs, everything, legally, that is binding. Even though that was not backed by any scientific methodology.
Yeah.
That is binding. So, Daniel, go on.
So I was just saying, so you see that these are like gentleman agreement, but you now convert it from that point to a more legal way, so that next time you don't have problem. Because to value professionally from this angle will be very difficult. So you have to just agree. You can't get it accurate. So you have to be very generous at some places. They need to also be generous at some point. Then you find a way to structure it from the beginning. And when that starts properly, then it picks from there.
Okay, so
I think that will help.
Yeah, I get you guys now. I was also considering pegging it this way. Let me just narrate it in case you have any advice on that. What I was thinking is that I want to value them based on the fact that probably if they were my employees and I'm paying them, how much would I pay them to take care of the farm in the period that we are going to be engaged. And then after that, based on the money, probably because they are going to be partners, I will double it and then use that as a value. Does that make sense?
To me, that would be difficult because you don't even know the value of your farm.
Okay.
Currently, it will be difficult. You don't know how much the farm worth. So you can say something, they won't be in agreement. They'll tell you no, they won't understand. Like I'm saying, if I'm one of them and I come and look at the farm and I realize that my expertise is I can transform the business within a year or two because of my expertise. If I had left you, maybe this land will remain like that. And the person thinks that his or her expertise is very important. He can be arguing with you if you want to do that. I think the best way is the way Gideon has explained. You have to just relax a little and look at them. What kind of expertise are you even talking about? What are they bringing on board? What is the nature of the kind of the crops you want to grow on that farm? How are you going to? So what is it that does it require a lot of expertise that you can't even do it by picking employees? Yes. Is it something that can't you get employees once you have the money? Can't you just employ people who have the same expertise and let the business continue? So that when you reach a stage where you think that the business is properly grounded, then you can, if you want to even admit some people to be part owners, then you can do that. That means by then the business has value. So if you are the one bringing resources, why don't you employ people with same expertise instead of bringing people to join you with equity right now?
Yeah, the reason is that I have tried that, and it's like anytime you leave it for
you don't have time to supervise.
Yeah, I am available. So, you see,
It's
I'm not
here. He's not available.
Oh, I get that now. I get that now.
So you know, I'm thinking that, Abdul, we can also reason from the angle that you were coming from. Okay, so for instance, you are bringing in an amount, okay?
Yeah.
And then there is also the value of the land. I mean, that one you can easily ask around the cost of land, farmland at that time. So put that together, that would be what you are investing in at the time. Yes. Then they are also coming on board, right, as experts. And because you have even worked with experts of that nature before, you know how much those experts charge within the period of sowing until harvesting, etc. So that could also, quote unquote, if now you can have the funds to pay them as employees, how much they would have received if you were paying them can also add up together to be how much they are also bringing on board, which is converted into efforts that they put into it. And then you can strike out that percentages. That could also work. The point is that the valuation, the value is what you agree on now, especially now that you don't have any structured kind of evaluation. It's what the three of you or the two of you agree on right now. And then like Daniel said, moving from this time, you create the value that you can use later.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think I have I'm answered. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. I hope that we did not leave the others on the call behind. I think that was practical example, helping all of us to think around how we can go about valuation. I don't know if anyone has a question to ask. We have 1 minute more. Other than that, I'll ask Daniel to give his final words, and then we can close for today. Okay, Daniel. Then
okay,
I
thank
think
you very much.
Have your final words.
Yeah, thank you very much. So before the final words, I want to say that because of the time, if you have some peculiar issue that you could not bring up, you can still reach out to us, and we can judge and we see how we can help. And so we are always
maybe
available.
you can share your email or
I think you can share. You can share that. You have all that. You can share. You share that with them.
Okay, no, I'll put it in the group.
Yeah. So just final words is just for all of us to know that if you're in business, the whole thing at every given point is to know whether the business you are in is moving forward, it is at a standstill, or it is retrogressing. And the only way you can know that is by determining its value. And the easiest way is to keep records and to have financial statements at every end of year, audited accounts. It will give you true value of your business so that you know whether you are moving forward or not. If you are not moving forward, if things are not going well, then you will find expert advice. You will know the best way to pick your business up and then to continue to improve. So all of us, try your best, keep records, make sure at the end of every year, get your financial statements prepared, and then know the value of your business. You may not be able to look for a professional to come and value your business unless you need to sell it or something. But the only way to get the value is to keep the records and to prepare financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. It's been great talking about this, and then especially as Abdul said, this being a topic at the right time for him, thinking about how you can also split interest with his partners. I'm very sure that those on the call, Hudo, Daniels, Akwesi, Prince, Emmanuel, Joshua, Caleb, Linda, you have all also learned something, and we hope that you join us next week as we continue our discussions on entrepreneurship. We have a culture where we take a family photo, even though it's virtual. And so as many of you that can just switch on your video, and then we can take our family photo for today. So I'm going to count down from 5 to 4. And before 1, please give me a very big smile, and then we'll take the pictures. So 5, 3, 2, 1. Now smile, smile, smile. Okay, I've taken a million pictures. Thank you so much for coming. Enjoy your evening, Daniel. It was great having you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. Have a great evening.